Same two actors, same electric chemistry we talked about in our Dolunay breakdown, almost completely opposite characters. Can Yaman and Özge Gürel reunited 3 years later for Bay Yanlış and built the entire show around a trope that should have felt exhausting from minute one, the guy who doesn't believe in love, teaching the woman who wants it more than anything how to actually get it. Here's the problem with the cynic mentors, the person he's obviously going to fall for as a premise. Everybody in the audience knows exactly where it's going before the first advice session even starts. The second Özgür agrees to coach Ezgi on how to win over some other man, the outcome isn't really in question. That's a real risk for a show if the ending is obvious from episode 1, what's actually supposed to keep you watching for the next 13. And there's a second layer of risk here specific to this show. It's reuniting the same real-life pair from Dolunay, which means audiences are walking in with existing expectations about their chemistry. That can cut two ways. It can make the show feel like a victory lap on built-in goodwill, or it can make it feel like a retread if the writers don't actually give the leads something new to do. Here's the insight. The show doesn't try to hide the obvious outcome. It makes the mentorship itself the actual source of tension. Every single dating tip Özgür gives Ezgi to help her win over someone else is also, accidentally, him revealing more of his real self to her. So the question was never really, will they end up together? It's how long can he keep coaching her towards someone else before he has to admit he's a hypocrite about the one thing he claims not to believe in. And on the reunion front, the writers made a smart choice. They flipped both characters compared to Dolunay, so even with the same real chemistry, the dynamic itself feels different. Let's go through both of these in detail. 1. The reunion came with a built-in audience before a single episode aired. Can Yaman and Özge Gürel had already proven their chemistry in Dolunay, and the announcement of this pairing generated over 400,000 tweets in 24 hours across 9 different countries. That's a genuinely rare position for a show to launch from real-world anticipation, doing half the work before the story even has to prove itself. 2. Both characters are flipped from their Dolunay counterparts. In Dolunay, Can Yaman played Ferit, a controlling perfectionist who struggled to trust anyone, while Özge Gürel's Nazlı needed a job out of pure survival. Here, Özgür is the opposite of Ferit, a free-spirited, easygoing restaurant owner who simply doesn't believe love is something worth pursuing seriously. And Ezgi is the opposite of Nazlı. She's not scrambling to survive, she's actively chasing a stable, loving relationship after a string of bad ones. Same real chemistry, completely different emotional starting points for both characters. That's what keeps this from feeling like the studio just recycled the pairing. 3. The forced into his house opening rhymes with their earlier show, on purpose. When Ezgi gets too drunk to give her own address, Özgür has no choice but to bring her back to his place, a device that deliberately echoes the drunken party turning point from Dolunay. For longtime fans of the pairing, that's less a coincidence and more a wink. The writers know exactly what audience they're bringing back, and they're giving them a familiar beat to start from, before taking the story somewhere different. 4. A classic transaction, dating advice in exchange for a fake date. The entire mentor structure hinges on an explicit deal. Özgür gives Ezgi real tactics to win over her ideal bachelor, Dr. Serdar, but only if Ezgi agrees to act as Özgür's fake girlfriend for his sister's upcoming wedding to get his mother off his back. Every piece of advice he hands her is, in effect, him teaching her how romance works while pretending it's just business. That contradiction is the actual engine of the show. You're not watching to find out if he'll fall for her. You're watching to see how much longer he can play mentor and fake boyfriend while actively proving his own cynical rules wrong. 5. Cut short domestically, but saved by international longevity. Bay Yanlış wrapped in just 14 episodes, notably shorter than the 26-plus episode norm for this genre, including Dolunay itself. A sudden domestic cancellation by the network cut the run short despite massive global outcry. But rather than being forgotten, that compressed runtime forced the story to avoid filler. And despite its brief domestic run, the show picked up international recognition years later, including a Best TV Series win at Spain's Premios Nova Awards in 2022, proof that high global demand gave the show a lasting legacy long after its Turkish broadcast ended. So here's what I want to know. Between Ferit's trust issues in Dolunay and Özgür's flat-out denial about love here, which version of Can Yaman's character do you think earns his ending more? And separately, do you think real-life on-screen pairs carry more chemistry into a second, completely different show? Or does the familiarity actually work against them? Tell me in the comments.